Hello, my name is Kainson Munonye, and thank you for joining me as we begin our discussion on control procurement. Control procurement follows from conduct procurement, a process that selects the seller and awards the contract. Now, in monitoring and controlling, we have to perform control procurement to monitor the status of the procurement to make sure that the policies are being followed. Alright. Control procurement is a process of managing procurement relationships, monitoring contract performance, and making changes and corrections to contracts as appropriate. The key benefit of this process is that it ensures that both the seller and the buyer's performance meets procurement requirements according to the terms of the legal agreement. So, control procurements also have a financial management component that involves monitoring payments to the seller. This ensures that payment terms defined within the contract are met and the seller compensation is linked to seller's progress as defined in the contract. Control procurements process reviews and documents how well a seller is performing or has performed based on the contract and establishes corrective actions as when needed. The performance review carried out during control procurement may be used as a measure of the seller's competence for performing similar work in future projects. So what we are saying here is during control procurement you review the contractor's performance or the seller's performance. You monitor the seller's performance and compare it with what has been established in the contract. Is the seller still following what has been specified? Then you want to take actions as necessary. Control procurement also includes capturing necessary details for managing any early terminations of the contracted work, in accordance with the termination clause of the agreement. These details are used in the closed procurement process to terminate the agreement. So here we are saying that in control procurement you are capturing or taking measurements of necessary details so that if it's necessary for the contract to be terminated, then it will be terminated based on what has been specified in accordance with what has been specified in the agreement. Let's now look at some of the ITTOs of control procurement process. One of them is the procurement management plan, the procurement documents, agreements, approved change requests, work performance reports, work performance data. Some of the tools and techniques are contract change control system, procurement performance reviews, inspections and audits, performance reporting, payment systems, claims administration, records management system. The outputs are work performance information, change requests, project management plan updates, project document updates, organizational process assets updates. Alright, so here is the list of some of the inputs to control procurement process. We are talking about control procurement. We are not talking about conduct, we are talking about control. So in control procurement we need the project management plan that contains the procurement management plan. We also need the procurement documents including the request for bid, request for proposal, request for information, invitation to bid, and other documents. We also need agreement between the parties. We need approved change requests to help us see the modifications to the terms and conditions of the contract, including the procurement statement of work. All procurement related changes are formally documented in writing and approved before being implemented through control procurement process. So here we are saying that when it comes to changes to the procurement terms, it has to be controlled, or it has to be documented and approved, implemented through control procurement process, not through the normal integrated change control this time, but through control procurement process, what has been specified in the contract. Another input we need is the work performance reports. It means that the seller's performance will be documented and provided as input for control procurement. So the documentation might include technical documentation. For instance, seller developed technical documentation and other deliverable information are provided. We also need work performance information. Seller's performance reports indicate which deliverables have been completed and which have not been. So work performance reports is one important input to control procurement. And of course we need work performance data. Work performance data is something we've encountered a number of times. Data is raw values that are collected in the course of the project work. But in this case, in case of procurement, work performance data might include the extent to which quality standards are being followed by the parties involved, the buyer or the seller, the costs that have been incurred or committed, identification of the seller's invoices that have been paid. All data are collected as part of the project execution. Take note that in PMBOK, when procurement management knowledge area is discussed, we are taking it from the viewpoint of the buyer, meaning that the buyer is a performing organization here. So when we talk about work performance data, we are saying we are monitoring the seller's invoices, his work, the costs incurred, and the quality standards being followed. We have a number of tools and techniques that we use to control procurement. One of them is contract change control system, and this defines the process by which the procurement can be modified. It includes the paperwork, tracking system, dispute resolution procedures, approval levels necessary for authorizing changes. The contract change control system is integrated with the integrated change control system. So contract change control system is one of the tools and techniques we need to control procurement. And of course we also need reviews. This cannot be overemphasized because a review helps you to review the performance or the progress of the seller. You want to monitor his deliveries, whether his work is in line with the scope and quality within cost and schedule, and so on. So this review is very important to be able to control the procurement's progress. Objective of procurement performance review will be to identify performance successes or failures, identify progress with respect to the procurement statement of work, contract non-compliance. All these items, information is going to help the buyer or the performing organization to quantify the seller's demonstrated ability to perform the work, and also this will be documented. Inspections and audits. The buyer have to monitor, to perform audits. Remember, audits, you want to review whether the processes are being followed. Okay. And these are conducted during execution of the project to verify compliance in the seller's work processes or deliverables. Performance reporting. Work performance data is supplied by the seller, are evaluated, and then work performance information from this evaluation is reported as appropriate. This provides management with information about how effectively the seller is achieving the contractual objectives. We also need payment systems because the performing organization have to disburse payment to the seller as required. So there must be a payment system that helps to keep account that is, this payment to the seller is processed by the accounts payable system of the buyer after certification of satisfactory work by an authorized person on the project team. All payments should be made and documented in strict accordance with the terms of the contract. Another important tool and techniques is claims administration. Sometimes there may be changes that are contested. Okay, so all these changes those requested changes where the buyer and seller cannot reach an agreement on compensation and cannot agree that a change had occurred. These contested changes are variously called claims, disputes, or appeals. So claims are documented, processed, and monitored and managed throughout the contract life cycle in accordance with the terms of the contract. If the parties themselves do not resolve a claim, it may be necessary to handle it in accordance with ADR, alternative dispute resolution, typically following procedures established in the contract. Settlement of all claims and disputes through negotiation is preferred. So, in a situation whereby there are contested changes, contested expenses, what do? You simply try to handle it through negotiation, through roundtables, through discussions. You don't quickly resort to legal means. No, that is the last resort and just have to be avoided. A records management system. This is used by the project manager to manage contracts and procurement documentation records. Records management system consists of a specific set of processes, related control functions, and automation tools that are consolidated and combined as part of the project management information system. The system contains a retrievable archive of contract documents and correspondence. Let's now take a look at the outputs of control procurement process. One of them is work performance information. Work performance information provides a basis for identification of current or potential problems to support later claims, or new procurements. So this information includes reporting compliance of contracts, which provides procuring organizations a mechanism to track specific deliverables expected and received from vendors. So work performance information is a key output of control procurement. Like, if possible, spend some time on this page and try to understand exactly what work performance information is used for as it applies to procurement, control procurement. Of course, work performance information has been used in several processes, especially as outputs and inputs, but in control procurement it's very, very important to report compliance and monitor progress. Change requests. As a project progresses, as the terms of the contract have been followed, deliverables are being made by the seller, there might be change requests. So this is output of control procurement. It's very, very clear. And we also have project management plan update. For instance, the procurement management plan might be updated in the course of controlling procurement. Schedule baseline might be updated and cost baseline might be updated as well, especially when there are changes, and these changes are performed through the contract change control. And then those changes, if it impacts on the baselines, then there has to be updates in the project management plan, which contains all subsidiary plans and baselines. We also have updates to project documents. They may include procurement documents. This may be updated as required. Procurement contract with all supporting schedules requested, unapproved change requests, approved change requests as well. It may include any seller developed technical documentation and other work performance information such as deliverables, seller performance reports and warranties, etc. So updates to these documents are output for control procurement. And of course we have organizational process assets update as one of the outputs of control procurement. Elements of the organizational process assets that may be updated include correspondence. Contract terms and conditions often require written documentation of certain aspects of buyer-seller communications. We also need payment schedules and requests as part of the updates to organizational process asset, seller performance evaluation documentation. And this is how we wrap it up on control procurement process. I want to remind you that control procurement process is very, very important in monitoring the contract, to evaluate seller's performance, evaluate payments, evaluate the processes being followed by the seller, and making necessary changes as required. As usual, I'm going to take you back to the ITTO's page so that you get used to these inputs, tools and techniques and outputs. I'd like to thank you for joining me, and please join me in my next presentation as I'm going to highlight close procurement.